This is a very special edition. So from all of us here, the ladies here at JoyNews, we wish you all out there a very great day as the world pauses to celebrate women. Now, dream big and create opportunities when none present itself. That's what women leaders are urging other women to desire as the world celebrates International Women's Day today. On the theme, Choose to Challenge. Women in various fields have gathered at the International Conference Center today to share knowledge, experiences, and celebrate their achievement in commemoration of the day. On the keynote address was IVN's regional lead, Northeast and West Africa, Angela Chemating-Jumo, who noted that women must make it a priority to take care of themselves, then prepare for opportunities which will make them better in the future. Hannah Odame was at the event, and she joins me now in the studio to tell us more of what went on there earlier today. Hannah, happy Women's Day to you.
Happy International Women's Day.
You seem very excited.
I am. It's a day for us, you know.
Okay.
I've heard men say that why should we have to celebrate Women's Day? But
that's a debate we can have another time.
But then you just spoke about Angela. We'll get a clip very briefly.
Exactly. So take us through what went on there today.
Angela is someone who has made it through barriers to get to where she is now. And so her story, how she got there, her dream, where she is right now. She's the chief of staff of one of the MBN big top men. And she said she just dreamed it and it came to pass. Yeah. So she's saying that, yes, there are lots of barriers, there are lots of hindrances for women, but once you dream it, you can achieve it. Let's listen to Angela.
Right.
Having a dream is not just enough. You need to have the wow factor as a woman. And what is the wow factor? Is a mantra that I've lived with, and today I want to share that with you. So, you dream big, and then what happens? Wow factor, W-O-W. The first W is work hard, work smart, be diligent, be persistent, relentlessly reinvent yourself. And with that, backed by your dreams, you will succeed. The O is for opportunities. You know what? Because I had internalized it, because I'd seen myself as this ordinary African girl hopping off and on IVN's private jet. Guess what? When the opportunity presented itself, I took it. I went after it with everything that I have. And sometimes the opportunities may not even be there, but what do? You create those opportunities. The last letter, W, is wellness. And I was so thrilled when Theresa told me that this summit is going to look at what we choose to challenge plus wellness. Wellness is very important. The pandemic has taken its toll on many of us. It's challenged us mentally, physically, and it's important that we take our wellness very, very seriously. And I love what Adam said earlier on. She interviewed the panelists on Saturday, and they said something like, you can't pour from an empty vase. Okay, so we deserve to be well as women. So today on International Women's Day, I challenge you, women, to dream big. Because if you don't dream big, and even if you are given a seat at the table, guess what? You will make excuses why you don't belong there. But if you've internalized it, if you've dreamt it, guess what? You will walk in with confidence and take that seat. Remember, a girl with a dream becomes a woman with a vision. And a woman with a vision, backed by the wow factor, is simply unstoppable.
Well, it's sometimes you could say easier said than done, but it is possible. And so over there, Hannah, there was today a lot of positive energy as I'm getting from you here in the studio.
It was so much positive energy because, Gifty, it wasn't about getting equality. The talk over the years has been equality. It wasn't about that. It was about you and I, the women themselves. How are we going to challenge ourselves? So we didn't even have women only who have shattered the glass ceilings. No, we had women who are now beginning, women who have not reached anywhere, women who have reached somewhere. So we had all those people there to share their knowledge, their experiences, to let us know that it is difficult. As a fact you have to face. We don't have to always see the glory of those who have made it. It's difficult, but yes, this is how I was able to overcome every hurdle, and this is how I got there. Can you also join me in this journey? So we had those kinds of people there, and it was so relaxing. You could understand how everybody was trying to communicate. It wasn't about rubbing shoulders with any other woman. It wasn't about rubbing shoulders with any other man. It was about you, the woman, yourself. And so we had a lot of the women around. We have those from Roma Africa. We had those dietitians telling us that we have to be well to be able to get that stage. Let's hear again from more of the women who were at the program today.
The point is that we need to get to a point where we realize that there's only so much we can do. And at a point, we need to learn to let go. Because if you want that career or that job, if you want that home, that child, you even need that career and the financial ability to be able to support home anyways. So for me, one of the things that helps me is to position myself that there's only so much I can do, right? So whilst I'm present, I'll do as much as I can. And when I have to let go, I have learned to let go.
But sometimes that self-imposed, I am the one who is supposed to handle everything. You won't ask. I struggled with that guilt. But then I had to teach myself and be kind to myself and sometimes ask. Even when I'm there thinking, oh, a good woman shouldn't ask her husband to do this, I would ask for the help and still sit with my guilt. But at least I got the help I needed.
You should look at your situation and see, can I manage between house and you can also sometimes get the support from your work and speak openly to your boss and ask for maybe part-time or any arrangement, even if you have to decide to break for a year or so, because the child only grows, this first year does not repeat. That's the time, although they need you all the time in their life, but that's critical for your own well-being as well.
Hannah, I'm particularly excited about focusing on your own well-being.
Exactly.
Because it's one of the things that we often take for granted, always playing the multi-purpose, multi-talented, beings. But this was a key issue here. But there were other people that you spoke to, including some men. We'll get to that, but before that.
So after this presentation, I spoke to some of the women who were there to find out how this has impacted them, because we just don't go sit down and then we wait for another 8th of March to celebrate. There should be an impact. There should be a mind change, a shift in our thinking. And so that's why you realize that the focus was choose to challenge. What are you challenging? From now to the next celebration, what am I challenging? What is Gifty challenging? What are the other females around challenging? Okay. There is something. I choose to challenge poverty, inequality. There's so much other people want to challenge. So I spoke to some of those who were gathered there and asked them, what are you going to challenge from now? And what impact has this particular conference made on you?
Okay.
We are going to spread our tentacles, not just focusing on how to rub shoulders with the men, but how to impact the immediate women or the young ones that are coming after us. I think this year's shift, it's amazing.
For what I picked up today, quite a lot of them, I know them, I was doing them, but also hearing it from another party also did help. And most importantly, I think what is going to stay with me is staying well and making sure that I remember that I also do exist. As much as I give of myself to everybody, I also have to learn to also take care of me.
What are you doing differently that suggests to you that you were not staying well?
I work long hours, I do a lot of things, and by the time I'm done, I fall off. And I think that one of the significant examples I was given that I realized that was really me was where by the time I'm done eating in the evening, then I just snooze off. I think I have to try and make sure I have my lunch at the right time and have my breakfast at the right time and still be able to continue to give off my time and myself to all the people who do need me.
Well, as we said, we've been talking about how people are celebrating or taking a pause to celebrate women across the world. I spoke to Hannah Odame, who was at the International Press Conference Center where the Women's Forum was held earlier today. Well, Hannah didn't only speak to women, she spoke to men as well. Now I'll be having a conversation with some women in key leadership positions. We'll have a conversation about how to nurture the next generation of female leaders. But first, listen to some men who have been interacting with us on International Women's Day.
From day one when a girl is born, we need to give them that opportunity just as we give to boys. Women and men can do equally same. So I believe that the issue hasn't got to do with what they have to do. It is how we start with them. One thing we have also not recognized is the fact that we try to push women when we have not prepared them enough into leadership, into major roles. We don't give them the opportunity from the beginning, and that is where we have to look at as a nation.
I think they've already done enough to be there. They've already put in the efforts. What I think needs to be done now is not to be complacent on the efforts and all the good work that they've put in place. They should keep fighting, keep challenging, like the team for this year's Women's Day is challenge, choose to challenge. They should challenge themselves, challenge everybody else. Because you cannot care about human rights without caring about women's rights.
So those are some of the men talking to Hannah Odame there. So are we well prepared, and are we preparing very well the next generation of women to take over? And after all the encouraging words, how do we actually get females who have achieved to hold the hands of other females who are willing to challenge the status quo throughout the day on multimedia platforms? Today, we have kept the discussion going in the hope that at least one person will find that encouraging corner from which to launch into the future. You've heard from entrepreneurs, female players in the financial and IT sectors. This afternoon, I present to you a female police officer, a female pro-vice-chancellor, and a female geotechnical engineer. My guest, pro-vice-chancellor at the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Ampia Amfo. Prof, welcome. Good afternoon.
Very much.
I am having a difficulty with your sound. Maybe we can fix that. But I also have on Zoom Dr. Celestina Alote. She is a geotechnical engineer, vice president and head of sustainable development with Goldfields, West Africa. And I also have, well, Doc, thank you very much. Dr. Celestina, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I think you are muted, but I hear you say thank you for having me. You are muted, if you can unmute for me.
Well,
right.
I am unmuted here. Can you hear me?
I do hear you now. Thank you very much for joining in this conversation. Oh. And I also have Superintendent Sheila Kese Bakman, who is the Director of Police Public Affairs, who will also be joining us. Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I know that the press conference has taken a lot of our time, but we'll try and do justice with just what we have. Essentially, we want to have a conversation to look at the journey and how it has been so far, and look at what succession looks like from your perspective. Prof, maybe I should start with you. Being in academia, walk us through the journey briefly, if you can. How easy or challenging has it been?
At the top of your career, wherever you are, female.
Well, Prof, I'm having a very bad feedback from your end, Prof. Let me start. Let me go on with while we sort out, Prof. Let me also let you know that Sheila Abeye Bachman, Superintendent, has joined us via Zoom, Police Public Affairs Director. Thank you very much, Sheila.
Thank you, Gifty.
Okay, it's great to have you. So let me start with you, Dr. Celestine. I mean, it's been a long journey. I can imagine. as I asked Prof earlier, walk us through the journey. How has it been for you? Assuming, well, I don't even need to assume, for your area, it sounds pretty technical to me, and it looks as though there are very few women in that space. Tell us about your journey.
Well, thank you. Well, the journey has been interesting. I think I've been lucky to be doing something I'm passionate about. I started at UST in 1992, and I think our year was the year where the university decided to take a lot of women. So in civil engineering, there were 8 of us. My male colleagues were quite supportive. And I mean, aside, one of the challenges would be maybe having to climb sometimes, while we were studying. When I remember doing an internship for construction, and I had to climb up to the roof. It took some motivation for me to be able to do that. But aside from that, it has been a very interesting journey. I love what I do. I see myself contributing, to helping to solve some of the challenges in Ghana, particularly with mining, helping to promote good practice in mining, in the design of some of the geotechnical structures. I would say one of my biggest challenges being in mining has been the work-life balance, as I'm sure a lot of women have had those challenges. My work involves traveling frequently, and it was always difficult to leave my children behind and my husband. So, I would say that I've made use of the phone. WhatsApp has been a savior. I found myself doing homework, you take pictures, you look at the homework, you check it, and then you send it back. What I've also done, I've always tried to stay in touch with the children. So every night I've tried to call back home. And then when I am back, I just try to spend a lot of time at home, just so that we can have that bond. So okay. I don't know whether that is your question. Yeah,
we'll get into the family bits. I mean, hopefully we have some time. We'll get into the family bits a bit more. But I want to imagine, I'm imagining you climbing. What did you have to climb again, a building?
I had to climb a ladder to go up to the roof to inspect it. And, in Ghana, well, I didn't grow up climbing. I don't stay in Ghana. So it was a first, and I was on a construction site. I was this tiny lady, with all the men, in the first place, the men, they are not very accepting. Not the educated ones, on the construction site, you have different categories of people. So everybody, all eyes are on you to see whether you will fail or how you will do, basically. So if you give into fear, that becomes an anecdote they will take home, So I had to overcome that fear and bravely climb that ladder with the senior engineer behind me and go up there and do the work. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it basically involves conquering a lot of fears.
Yeah. Well, as we go along, maybe we can celebrate some of the men who have supported you in this journey. But let me bring in Superintendent here. You are a police officer. You're a police officer who is always speaking for the rest of the police officers. And I can imagine it hasn't been easy. Talking about someone climbing, a ladder. I'm wondering, what is it that you had to do? I mean, how difficult is it being a female in an area which is predominantly male?
Okay, Gifty, happy day to all the women, and happy day to you, and a happy birthday to you too.
Thank you.
So when Doctor was talking about climbing, I was here laughing because I was remembering one of the things you have to do as a police officer, no matter the level of entry, is to undergo basic training. And at basic training, it's a requirement for you to learn how to handle and assemble the AK-47 and how to shoot up to a certain level before you are deemed to have passed, before you move on to the pistol. Climbing and going under objects and all those things are part of the training. So when she was talking about climbing, I was just here laughing and smiling and remembering what I went through as part of the training. And it's not just for the entry level. in the course of being in command position, you still have to go for training where you have to do some of these things. So it has been an exciting journey. I have been exposed to certain things I would have not have been exposed to, but for joining the police service. And I have loved it so far.
I'm sure you have loved it. But she talks about the fact that men in the area are not very accepting of women when they get there because they tend to have this territorial attitude. They feel like this is our space. How bad is that within the service?
With the police, so you would notice that we keep improving in terms of the percentage of women the police service allows or recruits yearly. So as at now, we are just about between 27 and 30% of the police population, which means that they keep allowing more space for women. And even in terms of leadership and command position, we keep appointing women to positions. So, for instance, the Director of Public Affairs, I am the first woman, although there have been several other women who have occupied several other positions, including even the Acting Inspector General of Police in the person of Mrs. Robertson, who is retired, and there are several other female commissioners. So within the police itself, there are no limitations based on gender. But you would notice that there are some gender limitations within the society in which we work that sometimes make it difficult to put people in certain command positions in the police service or to assign people to certain duties.
Right. So you talk about being able to handle the AK-47 as a part of the training, then the pistol, and then your shooting range, etc. As a woman, when you went to try it, did you feel as though you had to, like Dr. Celestina was saying, that you had to do something extra to be able to hit the mark? Did you feel intimidated even by the presence of men? Because men are, they have the muscle built in a certain way, I think that makes them strong, a bit stronger. But did you feel that difference?
I would say no. One thing they do, or we do in the police service, is to let you know the history of the service and at what point women were added to the service and the roles they played and the role we play now. So that alone is an encouraging and motivation factor for you as a woman. And the instructors make sure they make you feel that, yes, this time we want women to be part of the thing. So they pay attention to you. Okay. And mentoring and coaching is something that may not be formally structured in the police service, but once you join, you get all the senior officers paying attention to you as a woman, including even senior officers who are retired, like Commissioner of Police retired Mrs. Jane Donko. They will find you, they will locate you, and they will talk to you about the fact that you need to do this, to do this, to do this, to continue to give opportunity to women in the police service. So no, they don't make you feel, like I said, the institution itself gives a lot of room for women and they pay attention to you for you to excel in the areas where the men have dominated for a long time, which is basically the entire policing and operational activities.
Well, I'm getting a feeling as though there are no gender challenges at all within the police service, but that might be a bit far-fetched, is it?
But they are not limitations set by the institution.
Okay.
There are limitations you would find in the society. So, for instance, you are planning operations to take men to Operation Conquest, for instance, or Operation Motherland, which we are now having in some regions. Okay. And the assembly will give you a place where you look at it and you wonder whether you can send a female officer along because of perhaps the facilities there in terms of hygiene, in terms of bathing, in terms of giving the person the privacy to be separated from the men to dress up and all. But the service itself would have loved to add some women to it. Then again, you have societies where women don't necessarily lead. So you may have a woman who is competent, but you are unable to put the person there. So within the service itself, it looks as though women are privileged because you are assigned duties that are more easier than men, I should say.
I see.
But it is the social contract assigned to the female thing that makes policing difficult for women. Otherwise, within the service itself, it isn't.
When I come back to you, Superintendent, I want us to address two things. How have you managed, Dr. Celestina talked about one of the things that has been difficult for her has been work-life balance and how she has dealt with it. I want you to talk to us about that when I come back to you. For example, some people have said that a police officer, a female police officer, is not your ordinary woman to love. I don't know what that meant, but I heard someone say that. I want you to, when I come, I want you to maybe share your experience with me. But let me try Prof once again. Prof, are you there?
Hey, Gifty, I'm here.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me now?
I do hear you. I do hear you. So, Prof, when I was doing my master's, I had to deal with a lot of writing, just a little bit of that. And I dealt with it by, you know, having a little bit of Chinese by my side. I take a spoonful and I write, and I managed it. Being in academia is a lot of writing and a lot of mental work. Take us through your journey briefly.
Yes, I was going to say that I didn't have to climb a ladder. I didn't have to pull a trigger, but it's a lot of brain work, as you have said. Yeah. Being in academia is not an 8 to 5 job, it's a 24/7 job because you really have to work around the clock. During the day, you will teach, you will attend to students. If you are in administration like me, you do a lot of administrative work. And then it's after 5 that your research work starts. And indeed, if you're going to progress in academia, the bulk of it depends on your research output, which you really don't have much time for during the day when you are teaching and attending to students. So it hasn't been exactly an easy journey, but I would say that trying to be at the top of every career is tough, and it's tougher even when you are a woman. It's tougher because, you know, women traditionally and within the society, we've been associated with care duties. We are the ones who care for the babies, who care for the toddlers, the teenagers, the adults, the older people. Wherever there is care work, you see women. And so when women step out of these areas and then enter spaces, other professional spaces which do not directly involve that kind of care, consciously and unconsciously, sometimes people wonder what they are doing in those spaces. And you need to put in the extra effort, you know, do twice or thrice or even 4 times what your male colleague will do in order for you to get the needed recognition.
And so I was asking again, how have you managed to become a pro vice chancellor, rising through the system? I mean, I know people who have said at the University of Ghana, for example, the usual requirement elsewhere to become, say, a professor. Yeah. It's not the same. It's just different, even at the University of Ghana. I mean, how has the journey been at that point?
Yes, I mean, that's correct. It's not for nothing that we call ourselves the premier university. The requirements here are really quite stringent. For me, my professional journey started after my marriage and my family situation. So right after my first degree, I got married and I had my son before I started my master's degree when my son was 4 months old. And so I've had to go on this journey together with my family. I've learned to work with my family within my space. My children will tell you that, you know, mommy can really cut us off. We'll be in the same space, but if she's doing her work, she's behind her computer, she can really concentrate. And I mean, it would seem like she's the only person in that room. So I managed to find the spaces within which I can work effectively. And fortunately for me, I don't have to be away from my family, my children, before I can work effectively. In fact, I have learned to carry them along. I carried them along to conferences. For 4 years, I was the president of the Linguistics Association of Ghana. We had conferences in different places within the country, and I would go along with them. They would play around while I also went along with my meetings and my presentations. So I think that's how I've been able to manage. I somehow managed to work with them within my space.
Okay.
And then I've also had support. I had support from different people at different times. From my parents at some point when the children were younger. They will come in to support when they could during vacations. The children would go and spend some time with them. And then we could also have some time to ourselves and for our work. I've had effective house helps too over the period, very effective ones. And so, I mean, somehow as a professional woman, you need help. And you need to find the help, whether it is paid or unpaid help, whether it is a family member or in a friend or whatever, you somehow need to find help. And these are some of the strategies by which I have coped so far.
I see. Very interesting. Talking about help, I don't even know if carrying along your children, you know, some of these things is entirely healthy. I don't know. But let me bring in Dr. Celestine.
I think it depends. It depends on you. You have to find out how you are able to work effectively and within which space you are able to work effectively. We are all different, so you need to find out what works for you.
Oh, what works for you? Let me bring in Dr. Celestine again. Doc, you talked about how you're able to, how men are not very accepting and how you have felt that you had to prove yourself over and over again, even in the same space, even with the same sort of qualification. I see that a lot of young people, and we are encouraging a lot of young people to get into STEM, which essentially might take them to your area. What mistakes do you think you have made from which you want people, you know, young people, for example, to learn from? And how are you, with where you are now, nurturing younger people, let's say, beneath you or those who don't even work with you but want to be where you are into that position?
Well, I think I must correct it. I must say what I was talking about was, you know, actually my colleagues are very supportive.
Okay.
Of course, there's the general prejudices growing up. In terms of nurturing or succession planning, I must say, I'm sure my staff will tell you I'm very demanding. I'm harder on the women. I don't accept excuses.
Okay.
I don't like it when women act, you know, feminine. You know, we go because we are in engineering. You know, I don't like when we are working in the field and you see women giggling and being silly. I'm not very accepting of that because I believe you must present a professional face, irrespective of who you are. That we must work around our challenges, just like the Provice said. And I'm very encouraging. I mean, you will talk to the ones I've nurtured, very encouraging. I share my experiences with them. What I would say is you face your fears, you know, you talk to yourself. Sometimes I have to speak to myself to calm down, to be confident, to sit in that room, to make a contribution. So I encourage them. I share my experience. I share what I've learned along the way. And I think the biggest lesson I have learned is to make a decision what you want out of everything, every venture. So if you're going into a meeting, you need to decide what are you taking into that meeting? What are you coming out of that meeting with? So once you make that decision, you go into that meeting prepared. And you are able to confidently make a contribution so that your voice will be heard and you'll be noted. And basically that's how I try to mentor other women coming after me. And another thing I tell them is everything is possible. Honestly, that's my attitude. As an engineer, there's a solution to every problem. You know, there's nothing that doesn't have a solution. Okay. You only have to put your mind to it.
Okay. I want to use this part of the conversation to talk about love and relationships and family and how it plays a role in this success. I mean, sometimes people have said, especially when you take broadcasters like myself, there are all kinds of aspersions, you know, that go around. By talking about love, I want to bring in Superintendent Abaye Bachman, because I want you and Dr. Celestine to help me wish Prof a happy marriage anniversary as well.
Oh. Happy anniversary, Prof.
Okay, so I want you to just take a look.
Very much, ladies.
Yeah, I can see you're watching the video. So this is just a picture we just pull up. Maybe it might surprise you a bit. So take a look at this.
Oh my God.
and so this is when after this, 4 months after this, you started your, was it when you started your master's?
So this is right after my first degree. So this was in 1997, March.
Okay.
And I started my master's degree in August of 1998.
Interesting. So hang on, just listen to, I have somebody on the line who wants to say hi. Hello.
Hello.
Happy marriage anniversary.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so apparently behind every successful woman, or in front of every successful woman, whichever, in front, behind, there is a man.
He's by my side.
He's by your side. Okay, oh, so you know who is on the phone?
Yes, sure, I do now.
Okay, well, we'll just take a few messages for your wife on your anniversary today. There are two great women as well to help you celebrate her.
I can't hear you very well.
Okay, we're just taking your anniversary message for your wife on air.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying that, well, let the fire of the love between us keep on burning, and may the Lord make it increase over and over again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Prof, that's your husband there. Wishing you a very good one. Do you have something else to say to him?
Yes, I just want to thank him for all these years of support. It's been 29 years of friendship and 24 years of marriage. And he's been there for me throughout, for the children, for all of us. So I want to say I love him and he's still the one for me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, well, before we lose our focus, let me just let him go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in, sir. Thank you so much. So I said I was going to talk about love because I had a question that I didn't get. I didn't allow Superintendent Abaye Bachman to answer. Some people say marrying someone, a woman within the security services, you know, you have to really psych up. How difficult is it for people? You know, I know for people, for broadcasters like us, sometimes they say we're spoiled for choice. I don't know how true it is. It's sometimes a bit difficult to find love, you know. I don't know. What's your story, if you'd like to share?
Okay, 50. I think that the people who say that, they may not be wrong. What it is that you will need to sacrifice a lot to be able to be in a relationship with a policewoman. The reason is that every officer works 24 hours, we should say. Yes, you have days that you are on duty, but you must always be ready to be called to attend to a duty, regardless of the rank that you are, especially when you are in a command position. So yes, I may not be the patrol officer, but you are on call 24/7. Perhaps that won't change until we have the police population ratio that meets the UN standard. And that requires that your family and your husband, your partner, and everybody else would have to sacrifice. Because what you have done is to put yourself out there to sacrifice for the country. So you wouldn't like, although you want to achieve some kind of a balance, you still wouldn't like family to be some kind of stumbling block or interference in your way. So yes, maybe those who say it, I want to agree with them. You really need to be tough to be able to perhaps handle a female officer.
I see. Is it the same story in the engineering field, Dr. Celestina? Is it difficult for female engineers to find people who, you know, You know what I mean.
Well, I can't say. No, I don't think so. I think you have to ask my husband. But I don't think, I think the challenges we face are the same faced by women, who work everywhere. You work 8 to 5, you have to be in traffic. So just like Nana Abba said, you need a good support system,
Yeah.
So maybe the husband has to get used to having some house helps, making meals sometimes, There are times I'm away from home for 2 weeks, so it has to be somebody else caring for the children and making these meals.
Okay.
But I think those are general challenges faced by every woman.
Right. Well, on this day, we've been told to, challenge something, challenge the status quo. So I'm going to take a message from each of you on how people, I'm younger than all of you, like people like myself, people younger than me, people in school. What can they challenge from your perspective going forward into the future? What message do you leave for them? Let me start with academia. I want to start with Prof.
Thank you, Gifty. Well, on this day, I choose to challenge the call for gender equity, and I challenge every young woman and girl to be the very best that she can. Today, my message is the 3 Ds. The first D is to discover yourself. I say that don't strive to be like that man. Don't even strive to be like the woman next door. Strive to be yourself, because you can only be the best you. You can't be like me. And then the second D is to determine. You should determine to nurture your gifts through training, through mentorship, through apprenticeship. And because whatever gift you have, you need to nurture that, and you need to get it refined. You see, gold is much finer when it has passed through fire. And finally, deliver your nurtured expertise to the world. Step out of your comfort zone and show the world the steel that you're made of. And I think that we need to support each other. Together, we can make it and make life better for the generation of women after us.
Together we can make it and make life better. Thank you so much. And let me come to you, Superintendent Abaye Bachman. We deal with you a lot, and I know that we always come to you, we're looking for information, etc. That wouldn't be easy. But there are young officers who are looking up to somebody like you and saying, I wish. But there are things that they need to understand, and there are things they need to learn. What message do you leave with them? What should they choose to challenge, or what do you choose to challenge?
I choose to challenge the assertion that women are their own enemies. And I am challenging everybody to drop that phrase. I don't think that phrase is encouraging enough, because there are women who mentor women to become great. And that has been a negativity, so we should drop it. Now, I want to challenge every woman, be it young or old, to learn at every opportunity. There is so much we can learn. We can never be satisfied with the opportunities that come our way. So at every given opportunity, we should take advantage and learn. And we will marvel at what the new things we have learned and how they can contribute to roles that we play at our various places, and even at home, and even contribute to bringing up the children. I want to challenge everybody to laugh. Love is so easy to do, and whatever you do, no matter how difficult it is, try to take a breather, smile, laugh. That's it.
All right, let me come to you, Dr. Celestina. What's yours?
I was going to say that the superintendent took exactly what I was going to say, that I choose to challenge the perception that women are our own enemies, that women are bad bosses, women don't like other women. And so for this year, the message I say is women should challenge that perception and that notion. We should celebrate other women. When we get opportunity, we should tell other women how good they are, how pretty they look. We should help to build their confidence. We should elevate other women. When you get opportunity in a meeting to talk about another woman, bring out the best about her, elevate her, train somebody to come and step behind you. So be it your boss, be it your subordinate, let's celebrate each other, let's elevate each other, and the sky will be the limit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a great pleasure having you all. We do have a message from the First Lady, which we'll take to wrap it all up. But let me say a big thanks to you, Professor Nanaba Apiamfo, who is the Pro-Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Celestina Alote Goldfields, geotechnical engineer, Goldfields, West Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Superintendent Sheila Kese Abeye Bachman as well, Director Public Affairs, Ghana Police Service. Great conversation. I'll take a lot away from here. Let's now take you to a message from the First Lady's office.
An equal world is an enabled world. A gender-equal world can be healthier, wealthier, and more harmonious. I am responsible for my own thoughts and actions. My actions, conversations, behaviors, and mindsets can have an impact on our larger society. I therefore stand for gender-equal boardrooms, gender-equal governance, gender-equal workplaces, and gender-equal communities. I stand for more gender equality in health and wealth. I will take actions and decisions to make it happen. As I strike the choose to challenge pose,
I challenge. I challenge. I challenge. I challenge. I challenge.
I choose to challenge.
It is my commitment to a gender equal world.
I challenge. I challenge. I challenge. I challenge. I challenge.
I choose to challenge.
I will actively choose to challenge stereotypes, fight bias, broaden perceptions, and celebrate women's achievements.
I choose to challenge.
Together, we will create a gender equal world.
I choose to challenge.
Together, we can make change happen.
So that message is from the First Lady's office. Lead strategist at the office, Sheila Sechi Opong, is joining us right now via Zoom for a very quick one. Sheila, thank you so much for your patience. Good afternoon. Hello, Sheila. It looks like you're muted.
Good afternoon, Giti. I just unmuted myself.
Yes, Sheila, I owe you so much for making you wait for this long, but thank you so much. Let's start with a message from the First Lady. What message is he sharing? I see this video that you've put together that seems to target Ghanaian women in all sectors, including persons with disabilities. What is the First Lady telling Ghanaians on this day?
The First Lady traditionally always has an event to mark International Women's Day, but this year, because of the COVID protocols and regulations in place, she wasn't able to host any event. Nonetheless, she has a message for Ghanaians, and as you can see in the video, it's made up of Ghanaian women from different sectors of the Ghanaian society who are all challenging a particular status quo, a particular gender stereotype or bias. And her message for this year for Ghanaian women is that she's standing as First Lady and challenging every single gender bias, gender stereotyping, anything at all that is holding women back and not allowing women to be fully where they can be and who they can be. So that is what the First Lady is challenging today. And IWD itself is saying that a challenge world is an alert world. So we hope that once we as women, we stand, and I was listening to your panelists earlier on, and they were all challenging something. So once we all stand together as women to challenge these issues, the world will become more alert to the needs of women, and the necessary space that is required will be created.
And Sheila, what are you challenging as we wrap up?
And then women would be able to take their place.
Sheila, I asked, what are you challenging? I think I lost you. What are you challenging as we wrap up?
Well, I personally am challenging gender bias and any stereotype that is allowing or enabling people to sort of not include women. So any kind of gender bias or gender stereotyping that is allowing women to be put in the background, not allowing them to get into leadership positions or play leadership roles or be part of decision making. Those are the gender biases that I am personally challenging.
I'd like to say a very big thanks to you. Once again, thank you so much for your patience. Sheila, we kept you waiting on Zoom for a while. Thank you so much. And thanks for the First Lady's office for that message. Well, the former First Lady, Sheila Sechopong is lead strategist at the First Lady's office. Former First Lady, also Lodina, also posted something in which she also celebrates women. We'll bring you more of that in our subsequent bulletins, including what to expect from the State of the Nation address by President Akufo-Addo and the erratic power situation that you experienced at your home over the weekend.